Mount Rushmore of the Attitude Era.
Okay.
Go.
Don't mind if I do. So my Mount Rushmore for the Attitude Era goes as follows, in no particular order. Rock, Austin, Taker, Vince. Let me explain. I only gave the slight edge, and I do mean a very slight edge, to Vince McMahon over Mick Foley for these reasons right here. Without Vince McMahon being literally the most hated person on the planet during the Attitude Era, we don't get Stone Cold Steve Austin. Without Vince McMahon being the most hated character in the Attitude Era, we don't get The Rock, who also, as a wrestler, as a full-time wrestler at least, was the most hated man in the Attitude Era. You can say what you want to. Triple H didn't become the most hated man in WWE till after WrestleMania 2000. And at that point in time, we were already entering the ruthless aggression era. You understand what I'm saying? So with that being said, I give the slight edge to Vince McMahon because without Vince McMahon, and I'm not saying this just because he was the boss and he signed their paychecks, that's obvious, duh. But I'm talking about in the sense of his character, the way he made people feel, and the stars that were born because he was just so hated. I got to give him the slight edge over Mick Foley. Another reason why I give Vince McMahon the slight edge over Mick Foley is this. I get it. Mick Foley won against The Rock, won the WWF title at that time over The Rock, and WCW never beat them in a ratings war again. But did that, and then also for those that know the history, WCW leaked the ending of that match because it was a pre-recorded show at that time. So I asked this question, and it's a legitimate question. Would Mick Foley's impact, would Mick Foley's WWF championship have meant any more had he faced another heel at that business, in the business at that time? I highly doubt it. Because he was going against The Rock, who was so hated, because he was the corporately chosen bad guy, the corporately chosen face, you got to put The Rock over, you got to put Vince McMahon over Mick Foley. Because if Mick Foley is fighting any other heel at that time, not named Vince McMahon, and let's just be honest, nobody was going to make that a believable match or believe that that match was legit to begin with if Mick Foley is beating Vince McMahon for the WWF Championship. If Mick Foley is facing any other heel not named Vince McMahon at that time, that moment does not hit as hard. It just doesn't. It doesn't. Because he was going against such star power, going against all the odds, the corporate and all that, I got to give Vince McMahon a slight edge. Because you can say what you want to, heroes only matter when they have villains to defeat. Villains will matter no matter what happens, whether they have a hero to stop them or not. So that's my Mount Rushmore. What do y'all think?